Hey everybody, it's your girl Jacqueline Chantel.
And I'm Shay, and you're watching Elevated State.
We have to definitely start self-educating ourselves on voting and the voting process. I know a lot of times I hear that people, say like, what's the purpose of voting? It's not going to change things. It will change things, but like with anything, there is a process, and there's things that we're just not educated on. For example, we were talking about how it's important to vote for the next president, but those small primary elections and those local elections and those state elections and
those
the elections,
yes,
those are so important to elect who's going to be in the Senate, who's going to be, in the House of Representatives, so you can have like what party or what majority you want.
People who are actually going to start setting rules in place and
advocate. It starts even at the local level. Vote for your alderman of your ward, vote for your congressman, vote for your state senator. Like, all of these little small elections are important, and it's for us to self-educate ourselves on what is this person role? How does this person impact me? Because if we start at the local level, then that can flourish into like the bigger level, because
they pass things along.
Yes, to be honest, what I personally feel, and it's my opinion, it does not matter who we get in the White House. If we have somebody in the White House, but on these local levels, we still have these small cities and communities like Kenosha and all these other areas across the United States that still have, inequality in their cities and their towns, that have racist county sheriffs, and racist mayors, then those people, it's gonna be far and few between, and a long time for change is made. So that's something that we can do as a people, is start at our local level, get involved, it starts with voting. I've shared a lot on like my Facebook page as of late. Well, you can find out information about voting. You can go on any of whatever state, whatever you live in or whatever, your state is going to have a .gov website where you can go on and you can find out how to register to vote. If you are already registered to vote, where the voting polls are for you to go to. It's important for you to learn the rules and regulations and laws around your individual state, if you are able to vote. That's something that we were talking about too, is
felons. There's a lot of people. I always talking to people, you'll hear somebody who I'm like, okay, it's important for us to vote. Oh, where it's rigged. That's usually pretty much the first line. And then you hear somebody say, well, I have a felony. When actuality, based upon what state you are in, if you are a felon, you can vote in some of these states. It's just a lot of rules and things that you have to research. And this is why it's important to gain knowledge on your gain knowledge on what you can actually do as far as voting, even if you are a felon.
It's about being informed and not being influenced. I had a friend the other day, and I was like, "You gonna vote?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm not gonna vote because I'm a felon." And I'm like, again, so are you gonna vote? And he just knew, because he just probably got the gist of the whole voting if you're a felon, and not really understand the whole thing. So he's just like, "No, you can't vote if you're a felon." And I'm like, "Yes, you can." Like, in Illinois, it basically says, and I just re-looked it up just to make sure, that in Illinois, if you are an ex-felon, you are out of jail. Once you get released from prison, your voters' right are reinstated. You can vote. If you're in the county jail awaiting sentencing, you have not been convicted, you can vote. They're actually supposed to supply voting opportunities at the county jails. So in Illinois, pretty much the only time that you cannot vote is if you are convicted of a felon and you're in jail at that time. You're serving your time in prison, then you can't. But as soon as you get out, your voters' rights are reinstated, which, again, to that point, I still don't agree with that, because I don't care if I'm in prison, out of prison.
You still have knowledge on if you should.
I should be able to vote. I should be able to vote, and that's just Illinois. I think it is some other states that's, regardless if you're a felon, if you are ex-con, even if you're out, I think it's certain states that still make it very hard for somebody to vote just because they have that on their record. And why are you taking away my right to vote? when it's so
Just
many
because I have a
reasons why
felony.
people can get a felony. Like, people get felony for having DUIs. Someone can get felony for having drug charges. Again, I'm not saying that what they did is right or wrong. I'm not on here to justify, condemn, to be a court. I'm just saying that I just have difficulty relating how does that equate that. Like, you're silencing my voice. And to me, it's just another way to go back, like, okay, I changed the laws where I said that black people can now vote, because if we think about it,
that was only in 1964.
A lot of people that are inadvertently, or not even inadvertently, but negatively impacted by these laws, the if you're a felon law or the ID laws, are usually people in low income areas or people that's minorities, unfortunately. So it's just, without coming out and saying, I want to silence you, I'm going to find a way to make it look like, no, I'm not intentionally silencing you. You're just violent. You're not valid. You're not able to do it, but it's silencing. Like, even with the whole thing with certain states. And that's why you have to know your individual state's voting rules. With certain states not allowing people to vote if you don't have an ID. And if you think about it, at first, initially, it's like, okay, well, just get an ID, problem solved. But when you dig deeper, it's an issue. For one, certain states' IDs range from $20 up to like $50, $60 to get an ID.
And then you have to look at, in certain areas, especially in the southern areas, sometimes the DMV is like miles and miles away from these people in these areas. So that makes it even harder for them to obtain an ID.
And if I'm low income and I'm like really living in poverty or just having a hard time keeping food on my table and a roof over my head,
I'm not using that $30 or that $40 or whatever the case may be to go purchase an ID. I'm going to use that to purchase food or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to use that for something that I could possibly get away with without living with, besides like my food. So that's not like a means. Like, it's not a high means in my for my funds at that moment.
Exactly. And it's not that I don't want to vote and I don't want to be silenced, but now I have to look at my livelihood. I have no food in my house and I have kids that I have to provide for. As a person, if I was in that situation and I know that in my state it's $40, $50, we saw one where it was $48 to get your ID. Florida. It's kind of like, you know, I'm gonna pass on that. And then the financial impact that, like you said, it costs. Now I have to even add on the financial impact to get there to the DMV and to get back, and then all of the documentation and paperwork that I need to even get my ID. So if you don't have a birth certificate, in most states you got to go down to your county building or courthouse or wherever, but you got to pay for that. Then you got to go here and go there. And they know that unfortunately a lot of these people that are impacted again by voter ID laws are minorities who happen to probably, more than likely, they're going to be black people. So those are some of the things that you can talk to your senators and talk to your congressmen, and you can really, really help them lobby for change. That's actually, if you go and look at what the John Lewis bill is, that's what it is. It's changing some of these voter laws that's out there, that's just there to impact and negatively impact black people.
Yep. And then you also have to look at where they're putting the polls at. They're putting them extremely far from lower income areas. I mean, over 30 miles in some of these areas. So that's another thing that, like, where the voting is a little bit more difficult for some people in poverty.
Because it's like, how am I going to get there?
Yeah.
And that's what people are now, lobbying for also. Like, it should be some type of jurisdiction area that's always going to be within 5 or 10 miles or whatever from a voter's home. And then I say, where I live at, it was people that was working for the U.S. Census. They were walking up to homes with tablets, filling out census information. Like, you didn't do your census. We here if you got 5 or 10 minutes. How come we can't apply that same type of work ethic to getting these people registered to vote? So now, okay, you can't go out and get an ID because I can't afford it. I can't go to register to vote or whatever because maybe the courthouse or wherever I can register at is 30 miles away. help, and if the only thing that's preventing somebody from being able to vote is because they don't have an ID, then do that. Like how you did the census. Come to their house. Are you interested in being a registered voter? Let me register you to vote. Keep that in your little tablet that's been passed out for the census, and that way we can get some of these people in these low income areas that may not have transportation or may not have funds. We can get them registered to vote. Like, don't silence somebody's voice because of you being scared and intimidated by the fact that these voices may get you out of office.
So let's go ahead and talk about the people in office. People who are running. We got Trump already there. He's on his last, couple months basically. But we got him against Joe. So let's go on some of them facts. Let's go over some facts with them, because I don't want to be the type of person who just give my opinion. Like, I want there to be facts behind this as well. So what are some of the facts that you have for both Joe and also for Trump as well?
So what I want to first start off by saying is, again, be informed, don't be influenced. So I'm not on this show to say vote for Trump, vote for Joe. You vote for who you feel going to serve, your purpose or, the best. But what I will say is do your research on these candidates and be informed and so you can make the best choice. You're not doing it because that's what all your friends are doing. And so that what I won't say on here is like who I'm voting for, or I'm trying to hope that I'm not steering the conversation any type of way to say vote for this person, vote for that person, right? Being biased, because I don't want to sway anybody. But again, just with some of the facts and just when I say like when you do your research. So, for example, there are a lot of, well, I won't say a lot, but there were a few kind of like a little bit well-known, excuse me, civil rights activists that are actually pro-Trump. So that made me look into,
that was
why.
surprising for me. So I definitely did a little research on what's going on in that area. But go ahead.
And it's like, why are these people pro-Trump? And then you hear people like Candace Owens, I think is her name.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always talking about what Trump has did for the black community and this and that. Now, again, the thing with that is everyone's going to take stats and they're going to steer to their agenda. I get that. But
some people are trolling. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it really lies down to. Some people are going to take these stats and these facts and then really pretty much, like you just said, stir it into their own agenda and make it where it's like, okay, this is why you should vote for this person. When actuality is more stuff behind what's going on as well.
But some of the things like with Trump is, for example, Trump has provided funding to historically black colleges.
Which I had no clue about.
He actually signed in December 2019, re-signed the bill to restore funding to an amount of $255 million that they're supposed to get each year. So that's something like that where it would make you be like, oh, I didn't know that Trump did that. Another thing, Trump has worked towards like some of the criminal reform and has pardoned some black people that have been in jail. Either they were in jail, either wrongly accused, or they were in jail and the time that they were given for their sentence didn't equate to what they should have been getting for the charges that was brought against them. So then that's certain things that Trump has done. So I was like, okay, Candace, I did my research. That's right. So do your research. That may be something that make you want to be like, okay, well, let me look further into what Trump has done. Those only are a couple of examples. And then you have like Joe Biden, which we are, aware. I think everybody kind of knows Joe Biden, which everybody kind of knows that, Joe Biden has been, he kind of puts it out there that he's been fighting, for civil rights for over 50 years. But also what Joe Biden is trying to do and really focus on is getting more black men to vote. In the 2016 vote, I think when the stats came out, only 54% of black men voted. So Joe Biden is an advocate, as well as Kamala Harris, his vice president running mate, for the John Lewis bill, because out of that 54%, you got to look at some of that 54% of black men who voted, which leaves 46% that didn't. Some of them just didn't vote. It's a lot of black people that just don't vote because maybe we don't understand the importance of it. A lot of black men, I think historically it's kind of been declining. But some of those people are unable to vote because of the voter stipulations that have been put in place. So Joe Biden is fighting for that so the black man's voice can be heard. Joe Biden is also working with different community activists. I think it's called Bring Back Better or Make Better, but basically it is a program that's going to help with education and economical growth for the black community. So again, like that's some things that he's doing, and there's some things that Trump's doing. So I think we can always go down a list or whatever. And then you have negatives about Trump that everybody is aware of or whatever. You know, a lot of people classify him as a racist. A lot of people say that he doesn't really care about low-income families, about minorities or anything like that. You have a lot of people that say Joe Biden is a hypocrite, that because, you know, he was part of some of the reforms and legislated in the 90s that actually put more black men in prison. So, but you know, of course, he came and said that he, you know, what everybody always said, had to change of heart. Things are different. You know, you have to look at everything and look at the system and see where it broke down at, and not look at things as black and white. So the reason why I say that, and I'm sorry, and then if you go to Kamala, like she's been getting like dragged about, you know, some of the things that she's done when she was a prosecutor in California, and it's been some negative things that, you know, was kind of like questionable. Like for example, she was part of wanting to prosecute parents whose children was notoriously truant. And a lot of people gave her like flack for that, because, you know, sometimes you have working parents that go to work before their kids and, you know, can't really be accountable. You know, if I told him to go to school at 7:45, I went to work at 7, like don't prosecute me and bring additional hardship. But I mean, there's things that she's
goes
done
down to for something that she has done good. The reason why, based upon what I've researched, the reason why she was doing that is because she was looking at the jail rates. And she was saying, what is going on? Why are these people ending up in jail? Okay, it's the minority people who are in prison. Okay, so it's the minorities. These people, the people who are in jail who are minorities, is because of lack of education. So then she's going to, okay, maybe it's a lack of education. Let's force these kids to get in school. So let's force the parents to put these kids in school. So that's kind of where it's like, I get where you coming from, but at the same time, like, a parent can't force their child if the parents leave them beforehand.
Right. And it's like, you know, you have to look at like all of the reasons around it that made the person come to that conclusion at that time based off of the facts that was there and other pressing issues. It kind of maybe felt like the right thing to do. You know, but as well, like she's done some civil rights things. She graduated from HBCU, so she's always supported historically black colleges. So like I said, there's going to be pros and cons for everything. Our intent is to try to inform you with the information that we know. And again, for you to go out and inform yourself, go do your research so you can say, you know, based off of this person, this, that, I'm going to vote for this person or whatever. Just don't go off of like, you know, what you just quickly saw on the news, because the media, you always got to look at, okay, who's reporting, who's doing the polls, and what their intent is, because they're going to always chop some stuff, cut some stuff, make it look bad. Like, you know, the minute that Kamala, you know, it was announced that she was running for office, people couldn't wait to promote the negativity, but you didn't see that much influence of the positive things that she did until people felt that she was being so attacked. Okay, now we have to push back. So just do your research. Like don't jump on the bandwagon. What I would like to add too, like, you know, just going back to Trump for a second, is that, you know, and I'm just talking about the people that I talk to. I hear a lot of people that's like, he's not gonna get it. He's not gonna get it. Well,
we said that the first time. Okay, we heard that in 2016. And look what happened.
And you got to go out and vote. Like, don't just bank on that. If you don't want Trump in office, then don't bank on that, because you know, again, looking back at the stats, Trump has actually gained an increase in black supporters. He has been over the past year.
What was it? 34%?
Yeah, it went up. Sorry, 24. So it went up from 15% to 24%. And I think his overall approval rate right now is 46%. It's really close to 50%. So, you know, it's teetering that line. Again, that that could be based off of who did the survey, and if they're a pro-Trump supporter, then they're going to steer the numbers to be that way. But again, like, there's some truth to the survey somewhere, so don't just sit back. Like, I've heard people, and I think I even said that once. I was like, okay, who do you vote for when you're not really sure if you for what candidate? Like, if you for, you know, either candidate's agenda. You know, that was early on when the elections first started, before I started to, like, dig into the candidates. And someone has said you vote for the lesser of the two evils. Now, that's
me.
That comment, and I hate that though. But I get it.
But my thing is, it's like, I can look at everything that they're both doing, and I can see the good, and I can see the bad. And then it's things that are not being said, that are being pushed under the rug, that the media is not pushing forward. They'd be like, okay, I don't even like you as a person. So now that's making me be like, okay, now I got to vote for the lesser evil. And even with me gaining knowledge, I'm still like, yeah, let's see who's the lesser evil in this one. You know, and I completely understand that. My thing that I really don't like is when people are like, oh, it's rigged anyway, I'm not going to vote. At least try, please. Like, can we at least try? I understand that we all have this theory that things are rigged. And trust me, I sometimes believe it as well. But I feel like if I don't get out there and at least attempt, at least try, then I'm not doing my part.
And it's a lot of more voices out there that wasn't heard. That's one of the things that I took away from the DC trip when we went just at the march, is that it was so many activists out there. I mean, outside, of course, we always hear about the Black Lives Matter, but it was so many groups. You had Mothers Against Racism. You had Mothers Against Violence. You had Black Youth of America organization, or Black Men of the Future organizations. You had different HBCUs, college organizations. You had so many different communities. I even saw, it was, and I didn't catch their name, but it was a Arabian community activist group that was out there supporting the whole equality thing. And the thing that bothers me the most, and another thing that I took away from it, was that, wow, it's a lot of people that's tired. It's a lot of groups out there that's doing good. But the other thing that the media won't show you, and this goes into a lot when you have the people that's like, you know, I'm against Black Lives Matter, and because Black Lives Matter, Black lives should matter to all people, and they're saying how Black people don't go out.
What about Black on Black crime?
Yeah, and they don't go out and protest Black on Black crime and all these other hardships and stuff that urban America has to deal with. That is false, false, false. It was so many groups out there, and they were advocating for everything. Even just on the news a little while ago, Jacob Blake's uncle was saying how the day before Jacob had got shot, him and another pastor in Chicago was out, and they gave over 10,000 bags of like food and stuff, and they're always out there helping the community. They're out there rebuilding up Inglewood. The problem is the media don't come out and show you that. So then you assume that Black people are not out there marching against Black on Black crime. That
quote
Black
unquote,
people,
I'm gonna put quote unquote Black on Black crime,
right?
Because I'm actually sick and tired of hearing that term. Because there's a such thing as white on white crime. There's a such thing as Mexican on Mexican white crime. There's such thing as Asian on Asian crime. It is, everybody's gonna have crime to their community.
But it's people out there, they are protesting against it. So stop portraying that too, that Black people don't care about other Black people's lives, or Black people don't care about our own lives, and we only care about our lives when we're killed by a white person or if we're killed by the cops. That is not true. It's so many groups that's out there all across America. It's so many groups that's out there in Chicago, day in, day out. It's so many church affiliation and just affiliations in general that may not even have anything to do with like religion. They're out there, they're advocating. They want to get more after school programs. They want to get more funding in these areas. They're even trying to get more police presence in some of these areas. They're out there trying to get programs started to help with low income families. They're out there trying to get educational services so you can have a higher high school rate and a higher college rate. There's so many people out there, and that's one of the things that I took away when I went to DC, to see all these groups out there advocating for everything. So please, like, we have to start showing that and promoting that as well. You know, don't just come up and show out when, you know, a black person is killed by a police officer, because yes, that is bad, but we need to show out on the small level so we can invoke change all the way up to the highest level.
Exactly.
And the last thing too that I want to talk about, just going back to Black Lives Matter also, and again, this is just my opinion. Another thing that I want people to really understand, when you have people that target the Black Lives Matter group or any group that's protesting against police brutality, and you have people that say, you only, you know, protesting because a police killed the black person. But, you know, yes, because the protest is different. My protest is going to be different because what I'm protesting when a cop kills a black person,
You kill me because I'm black.
Yes, and I'm
Like
I'm protesting because this cop is not getting charged and tried for murder. This cop is not getting sent to prison. That's why I'm protesting. So that's why the two are different.
Yep.
When I'm protesting black on black crime, like you said, you don't like to use that term.
Yeah.
When I'm protesting crime in urban communities, the protest is different.
Yep.
I don't have to protest that black lives do matter, but I don't have to protest for the person that shot this guy to go to jail because they're going to arrest him. He's in jail because now they got a 2-for-1. I have this one black man that's dead, and I have this other black man that's in jail for 50 years or for life. So I got a 2-for-1. So yes, the protest is going to be different. So you can't sit up there. You cannot compare the two.
No,
you cannot compare the two.
And then
I'm
also,
protesting for justice.
Exactly. And then also, when a police kills a black person, it's more than likely because they had a fear of the person being black. It's not because, oh, you sit there and stole territory or whatever the case may be. It's not because of that. It's because that person is black. It's because they fear that person because they are black. You have more fear of me being black than a white kid walking with a gun.
And that bothers me, and I just don't understand. If somebody can help me understand
why y'all don't like me so much. I've been trying to get this through my head. Like, y'all literally stole black people from another country, brought them here, and you really hate us still after 400 something years? Like, I'm laughing because it doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense.
Like, if you could tell me why you really don't like black people, I'd be like, okay, I kind of get you. You have no reason why. Like, there is no reason why.
And I just want to know that, like, just me as a person, I could never not like somebody because of the color of their skin. I just can't. Like, I can't even, like, fathom not liking somebody because of the color of their skin. If I'm not going to like you, it's because you did something personally to me, specifically. I'm not even going to not like somebody because they did something to somebody else. Like, you have to do something to me. And even me, and it's probably because I have a really big heart and I was forgiving, I'm still not going to like, I'm still going to love you, even if you did something to me personally. So it's just very hard for me to understand how someone who never met me, who doesn't know anything about me, who doesn't know my belief, my morals, what I stand for, can just sit up there and just have hatred in their heart for me and not like me because of the color of my skin. Like, can somebody really just explain that to me? I've always wanted to sit down with a racist and just ask them that. Like, just explain to me why you don't like me. Don't tell me because you guys this or that. I'm talking about me specifically. And the whole other million of black people specifically that you've never met or whatever in your life. Like, that.
Yeah, I just never got that. I never understood why is there so much hatred for black people. I don't get it. Like, I really never, I can't even fathom not liking somebody because of the color of their skin. Like, even after all of the stuff white people, your ancestors have put us through, I still have very close white friends who I talk to on a daily.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't look at them. I've never met them and been like, oh, like, as soon as I met them, like, oh, I ain't gonna like you. I've never, even after so much of stuff has occurred, I've never been like that. I'm even the type of person, if a white person doesn't have knowledge pertaining to something about black people or they aunts, I am the type of person where I will explain it to you. I will sit there, if you ask me a question, I can genuinely tell that you lack knowledge on something or that you're completely ignorant on something. I'm the type of person who's willing to explain it to you. So the fact that I'm like that and I can't get that reciprocated, it's a whole problem.
Right. It's upsetting. And like, I don't even, when I see somebody, I see a human being. Like yesterday, it was either CVS or Walgreens. I pulled up in the parking lot and there was this man and he was like laid out, a white guy. And I thought he was dead. I didn't know. Like my mind went to or injured or something like that. I just felt that he was in distress. I even called my cousin like, okay, like his car door is open. He's like laid out. Should I go over there and see if he's okay? But you know, in today's day and age, you gotta be careful because you don't know if it's a setup. But the first thing that came into my mind is this is someone who needs help. It didn't come into my mind this person was white, whatever color or whatever. It's like, this is a human being that needs help. He could have been a racist. I could have went over there and he could have been, get out my face, nigga. Like, I don't, it didn't cross my mind nothing other than that this was a person who was in distress. Luckily, it is a turnout that, you know, he wasn't dead. He was having some respiratory issues and was taking some doing a breathing treatment. But that's how we should all be. Like, look at people as human beings.
My thing that one of my good friends have pointed out, Latavia, she has said this on Facebook. She said it's crazy that we can look at all things created by God and look at the colors and be okay with them being different colors. Like flowers. I think she gave the example of flowers. Like, we can appreciate a yellow flower. We can appreciate a pink flower. But you can't appreciate somebody else's color and not have a problem with it. But you can go pick out all them flowers and not have a problem with the yellow flower or the green flower or the blue flower. You ain't going to have a problem with those flowers. But you can't do that with skin tone. You can't do that. You can't appreciate somebody else's color. You gotta automatically hate them. Oh, those are yellow flowers. I don't want them.
Right.
You don't never hear that. So you're telling me that we're gonna do that with skin tone? With somebody color? You don't appreciate it? I don't get that. It does not register in my mind.
And I just feel like that, you know, maybe other countries experience this on some type of level. But I just feel like that it's an America problem. It's a United States problem.
For me, I always listen to people in other countries because I'm always curious. So I had a friend who's black. She traveled to Germany. And she was saying in Germany, it was an appreciation. It wasn't like, she said, of course, there's, you know, some people who are racist. She said, but she doesn't feel like it's as bad as here in the U.S. She said, but it was more so an appreciation in Germany. It was more so, oh, let me, you know, have a conversation with you. How is it like being in America? How is it like being black in America? And she said that was one of the first questions that she got. And that is sad. When you go to another country and they ask you, how does it feel to be black in America? Because we know it's hard.
I don't know. I'm just tired. But, you know, as a people, and I'm not saying as a black people, as a people, as American people, we all should be tired. Not just black people. We all should be tired.
Like
we
they
all
say,
should want equality.
If all lives matter, why aren't you mad?
Exactly.
Why aren't you mad that black people are dying at such a high rate? If all lives matter, why aren't you out there with us? I don't understand that.
And please understand this too. When someone is shouting, I have on a shirt that says Black Lives Matter. When someone is wearing a shirt or shouting Black Lives Matter or have a poster that says Black Lives Matter, stop saying that these people are saying that no other life matter. Because that never came out of anybody that I have ever met that supports Black Lives Matter. That has never came out their mouth that other lives don't matter. Black Lives Matter just simply means, can our lives matter too? We know your life matters already. We know all lives matter. Of course it does. Yes. We're all human beings. But all we want is for our lives to matter also. That's all that means. Do we need to add also at the end of it? Because it's not taking anything away from anybody. It's just saying we feel like that our lives don't matter as much as yours. So we want to come to remind you and inform you that we are human beings too. And our lives matter also.
It's just like cancer awareness. They're going to have breast cancer awareness, colon cancer awareness. You don't see nobody popping up, somebody with breast cancer popping at a colon cancer thing and being like, breast cancer matters though. You don't see that happening. So why we got to go through it because of...
Exactly.
It don't make sense. It don't make sense. It's the analogy of the burning house. Somebody's house burning down on the street and the fire department come down. You're not going to be like, well, my house matter too. You need to spray my house down. Your house is not in danger, man.
Right, exactly.
Karen,
Exactly.
Karen and Chad, your house is not in danger. It's Joey down the street. Go home. Close your door. It's not you.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Like, that's my leaving statement. All lives matter. We know that. We just want you to be remembered. We want you to remember and be reminded that Black lives matter also.
My statement is, if all lives matter, why aren't you out there? I know you've seen it. I know you've seen it everywhere. I know you've seen posters, shirts. If all lives matter, why aren't you as mad as we are? That's it.
That's all. Get out and vote. Go register if you haven't registered. Go onto your local county website or your state websites. All of them are gonna have links for you that will take you to where you need or give you information on how to register to vote. Please, this is our voice. This is our opportunity. So don't let your voice be silenced.